Governor Jerry Brown's plan to level the playing field with more money to high-need students, schools, and districts will use a new formula to fund education. It allows local school districts more freedom in spending state education dollars. But critics worry about accountability. Joining me with more on the subject is Randy Ward, Superintendent of San Diego County Office of Education. And Superintendent Ward, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So school funding has always been complicated. It's hard to get a handle on it. How does this new funding formula make it easier, or how is it different?
Well, prior to this, there were tens and tens of different pots of funds that had to be applied to certain groups of students. And so you would use resources in a classroom for one group of students, but the next group that would come in couldn't use those resources. And it was very complicated, not to mention trying to figure out how much you were getting of each. What they're proposing now is a fundamental change in how they distribute the education dollars that come to the state of California, and putting those in pots of three different pots, but one big pot. One is a base funding formula. All students get a certain amount of money. The second is a supplemental formula for certain students, EL students, which are English language learners, low socioeconomic students, and foster care students. They get an additional amount. And then, if you're a high concentration of those of those students, basically 55% or over, you get another additional amount to help you to educate children who have who need more to be educated.
Let's talk about these concentration grants, and you get the extra concentration. What qualifies the district? Is it those having a high concentration of those three groups? So
yes, and that concentration has to be at the 55% or above level. Otherwise, you don't get any. So you could be 54% and miss out on that extra pot of money.
We have some examples of that I want to show folks. So here in San Diego, nobody's going to lose money, but here in San Diego Unified School District has 67% of those high-need students we were just talking about. This works out to about $320 more per student in that district. Lemon Grove comes in at 100% with high needs students. So their students there will get an additional $481 of funding, while San Marcos at 48% just gets about $146 per student, or in an added pot to help do this.
So you said just.
Yes, 140.
And that's part of the discussion that has been occurring. There really aren't any losers. There are just winners, big winners, and super big winners in this equity, this attempt to provide equity through funding.
Yeah, and they're not taking from one school district to give to another or anything like that. Give us some specifics on how this extra money per student will be spent.
Well, the school district gets to decide that, not Sacramento. So the school district will basically put together an improvement achievement plan. They will put the entire amount of money into a pot and make decisions on how they will spend that money to improve achievement for not only those three categories of students that we mentioned, but also for all students, so that there is benefit that if you have a computer paid for by one program, that another student can come in and use that computer. I mean, that's reasonable for the layperson, you and I, but too often it was part of the landscape of restricted funding in the past.
Let's talk about this funding, because clearly the voters in California care about education. They voted, overwhelmingly.
Prop 30, thank you.
Absolutely. The governor is, but there's still a lot of concern that I hear about accountability. So now you've got this pot of money, and now the district gets to spend it the way they want, within reason. So what sort of system is in place to make sure that money's being spent where it should be?
So what we're talking about now is, how do you use the County Office of Education and the resources there to work with districts to make sure that the money first is expended in some of those same categories. But second, for me, more importantly, is how they're expended. What's the quality of those programs, and are they making a difference in the achievement levels of students? So that is all being developed. It's supposed to be developed in the next year or two. And
kind of a tracking or accountability system.
An accountability monitoring system with rubrics and kind of what's the evaluation. That's all being developed. The State Board of Education will have a role in that as well. And will come out really a year or two down the road. But districts really want to look at that because school districts and educators tend to look at what's the test, what's the evaluation, for me to know how I'm going to approach using these resources.
All right, Superintendent of San Diego County Office of Education, Randy Ward, thank you so much for the update.
Thanks for having us.